Welcome back. This is LTC 07 in our long-term care predictability series. Today, we're going to be talking about renovating while operating. This is one of the hardest situations in long-term care because construction is happening inside a living, working care environment. The building still has to function. The staff still have to deliver care. Residents and patients still need safe routes, meals, meds, supervision, and dignity. And the business still has to protect the census. So today, I'm going to give you a one-page phasing tool that helps you test whether a renovation phase is actually safe and operating realistically before you approve it. This is for operators, administrators, directors of nursing, facility leaders, development teams, or GC or construction management partners. The stakes are direct. If phasing is vague, beds go offline longer than expected. Staff routes change without clear support. And temporary egress or infection control assumptions get delivered late. Residents and families experience disruption, and what looked like a construction sequence becomes an operations problem. In occupied care settings, phasing is not just a construction plan, it's a continuity plan. So here's the predictable failure pattern. The team says, we'll figure out phasing later. Then the design moves forward. Then construction planning starts and everyone realizes the temporary routes don't work. The clean and soiled flows now cross and staff anchors are blocked, or too many beds are offline at once. Now, the phase plan has to be reworked. Sometimes the layout has to be reworked, and sometimes the schedule has to be reset. And that's why phasing has to be designed early, not after the drawings are done, not after the contractor mobilizes, early. A good phasing strategy protects 6 things. First, census. How many beds can stay online? Second, staff flow. How the care teams move during real shifts. Third is clinical operations. The meds, meals, clean supply, soiled return, laundry, admin, or emergency response. And fourth is the life safety, especially temporary routes and safe movement. Fifth, infection prevention, keeping construction zones and care zones separated. And sixth is communications, because if staff don't know what changed, the plan fails in practice. So here's the tool for today. It's the ORPC, or the Occupied Renovation Phasing Canvas. The goal is to take phasing out of vague construction language and turn it into a design tool. In the end, you should have a phase map, a census protection test, a staff and resident route test, a compliance continuity check, a communications cadence, and a go or no-go gate for each phase. If you want to follow along, download the worksheet from the Renovating LTC tools page. Step 1 is the continuity baseline. Before you define phases, list what must stay operational. Start with the beds and the census, then meds, meals, dining, clean supply, soiled holding and waste, the staff anchors, visitor and service access. For each one, write the minimum service level, not the ideal conditions, the minimum level that protects care and operations. Then assign the role responsible. Finally, write what happens if that operation is disrupted. This is how the team sees the real stakes before drawing a construction sequence. Step 2 is the phasing inventory. For each phase, write the work zone and scope. Then write which beds or rooms go offline, if any. Then list the temporary routes needed for residents or patients. staff, visitors, services, clean supply, soiled return, and emergency response. Finally, write the owner decision or risk that's tied to that phase. This matters because a phase is not just a construction zone. It is a temporary operating model. If you can't explain how the facility operates during the phase isn't ready. Step 3 is the census protection test. In long-term care, census is not just a number, it's revenue, staffing, stability, and operational viability. So for every phase, state the census impact. How many beds are offline? For how long? Can swing rooms protect capacity? Can the work be sequenced to reduce downtime? Can temporary services keep a unit functional? And if a phase damages census without a mitigation plan, it's not a stable phase. You may still choose it, but you should choose it with eyes open and not discover the impact after the construction starts. Step 4 is the route test. This is where many phasing plans break. They work on a calm day, but not during MedPass, meals, shift change, admissions, or emergency response. For each route, write the normal path and the temporary path. Then ask, does this create a peak conflict? Does it add too many steps? Does it send staff through public circulation? Does it cross clean and dirty movement? Does it delay response? If the temporary route only works when the building is quiet, it doesn't work. Step 5 is the compliance continuity check. Confirm temporary egress routes are defined, marked, and viable during peak moments. Confirm that your life safety assumptions have a clear path to review with the AHJ. Confirm the construction zones and clean zones are separated. Confirm that dust, noise, odor, and infection prevention controls are planned at the phase level. Confirm clean supply, soiled return, waste, and laundry flows do not create no-go crossings. Confirm that staff anchors remain usable or temporary anchors are assigned and tested. This isn't about creating paperwork. This is about making sure the facility can operate safely while the work is happening. Step 6 is communication cadence. Occupied renovation needs tighter rhythm because operations are part of the project risk. The worksheet asks you to define the cadence for ops hurdles, resident and family communication, staff route updates, phase readiness reviews, risk register reviews, and go or no-go decisions. This is where transparency matters. If the contractor knows the phase plan but the staff do not, the phase plan is not ready. If leadership knows that the route changed but the families don't, the communication plan is not ready. In occupied work, confusion becomes risk. Step 7 is the phase go or no-go gate. You go forward only if the census impact is stated and mitigated, critical operations remain functional, or have approved temporary solutions, all major routes are defined, life safety and infection prevention assumptions are confirmed or assigned for confirmation, and the staff anchors and response routes work during peak moments. The communication plan is ready, and open risks are assigned with an owner, a due date, and a decision path. If any one of those items is missing and could change the phase, you're not ready to lock the phase. Here's a common example. A temporary corridor route looks fine on the phasing plan, but when you test it during a peak moment, you realize that MedPass, meal movement, staff rounds, and construction access are all using the same pinch point. On paper, it's a route. In real operations, it's congestion and it's risk. The fix might be sequencing the work differently, changing the temporary route, shifting construction access, or modifying the daily work window. But you only see that if you test the phase like an operating facility, not just a construction site. Another common example is taking beds offline without a census protection plan. Sometimes that's unavoidable, but the decision must be visible. How many beds are offline? For how long? Can the rooms be swapped? Can work happen in a smaller zone? Can the phase be split? Can the operator absorb the census impact? These are business questions, not just construction questions. A predictable project makes the trade-off visible early so leadership can make a real decision. So let's recap. Renovating while operating requires a phasing strategy that protects census, staff flow, critical operations, compliance, and communication. The ORPC worksheet gives you a simple structure. Define the continuity baseline, map each phase, test census impact, trace temporary routes during peak moments, and run the compliance continuity check. Set the communication cadence and use a go or no-go gate before each phase locks. In the next video, we go deeper into infection prevention by layout. These are practical design moves that reduce operational risk. If you want a predictable, occupied renovation, don't treat phasing like a contractor's detail. Treat it as an operating strategy. Decisions first, phasing second, construction third. Download the ORPC worksheet from the Renovating LTC tools page, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, before you go, I want you to walk around your facility this week asking one question. What is the lesson that this space is teaching? The doorstops, the supplies at the nurse's station, the empty logbook that everybody walks past, the staff walking the long way around, and the families asking for directions. These aren't random. They're the lessons that the space has been teaching every day, every shift. Your staff didn't create that friction out of nowhere. And another reminder probably won't fix it. The facility friction roadmap lets you see your building the way that your staff are experiencing it. It shows you what spaces are teaching inefficiency, which are teaching workarounds, and gives you a practical place to start changing the lesson. It takes about 4 minutes. The link is in the description. Take the roadmap and find out what your spaces are teaching.